Jake, I'm
Yes.
cracking open a drink of absolute bullshit tonight. I didn't have time to get anything fancy.
I've never had absolute bullshit before.
Yeah, I call this is Angry Orchard hard fruit cider. So
I
absolute
don't
bullshit.
I don't even understand that statement. How can it be
hmm
hard fruit yet be cider as well?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's look at the what is it? Not the instructions. The
Hmm.
ingredients. The ingredients are hard cider, water, cane sugar, apple juice from concentrate, malic acid, natural flavors, peaches, mangoes, carbon dioxide, and sulfites to preserve freshness. So, like I said, it's a can of bullshit. But I don't got a lot of options right now, so I felt I needed some sort of
That's so
drink tonight.
disappointing. You can't even get drunk.
Well, I mean, I could. There's more of this. There's like a couple more cans of this downstairs. I don't. I think we got it for. What did we get it for? The Renaissance Fair, maybe.
Why does that not surprise me?
I don't know. We always get some goofy bullshit, like fruity bullshit.
You
And
guys
stuff
are
like that.
you guys are goofy, fruity bullshit.
That's a fact. That's one. I like. I like my stuff sweet.
Well, I'm not even talking about you. I'm just talking about you and Lauren. Goofy
That's a
bullshit.
fact. Oh my god. Yeah. Her. I mean, her wine taste is a Moscato d'Asti. So dessert wine sugar. So
It's not even a real wine.
Jacob,
Richard,
happy 10-year anniversary.
happy 10-year anniversary to you, good sir.
I know. I mean, it's kind of an arbitrary date that we've decided. I think technically our actual 10th anniversary is in October when we
Yep.
started the whole thing. But we
Hmm.
didn't post our initial episodes until the beginning of December of
Yes.
2011. So,
Yes.
whatever. Typical damn Chocobo style. We're late. No matter how you look at it.
We're always late.
That's what we do. That is a thing that I cannot blame on damn Chocobo. Like a thing we started with damn Chocobo. I've always been behind schedule
Right.
and everything.
Yep. Everything. Just, just steer into the curve, Rich, or the skid.
Exactly. So yeah,
Hmm.
congrats. We did it. 10 years. It's
Yes,
been a
we
hell of a
did.
time.
Yeah, and it's been crazy that we've been able to do it for this long.
I know. We've kind of been doing this. We've had this discussion a few times pre-episode banter leading up to this point, but
Hmm.
for the listener, we wanted to have like just a short standalone conversation, just being nostalgic and celebrating how we've managed to do this shit for so fucking long. It's a lot like the 100th episode, which is really funny that those happened in the roughly the same year.
Yeah, it's kind of weird a little bit.
Yeah, I think I never anticipated that one, we would do 100 episodes, and
Hmm.
two, that it would take 10 years to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't
Or
really have a
I
time
think it was more
scale.
9 years. I think it was nine. I think we did that in 9 years. But still, the point remains where we take our time.
When was that 100 episode? Oh yeah, December 31st.
December 31st.
Yeah, it was released. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. Uh, I started before, like when we were talking about doing a nostalgia episode. I wanted to kind of get an idea what those early episodes were like because I haven't listened to them,
They're
like a
awful.
lot of them, in a while. And they're awful, but in a different way than they used to be awful.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
so they're a different type of awful instead of what we thought they were.
yeah. And I should probably preface this by like some kind of like history lesson stuff with Damn Chocobo.
Sure.
When we started Damn Chocobo, and we've told the story about how like we played a lot of online games and
Hmm.
ran out of ones we wanted to play, and then we're just like, hey, let's just play Final Fantasy games at the same time, and then record ourselves talking about it.
Hmm.
And like that's like the legend that we put forth.
The legend.
That is the origin of Damn Chocobo, but it's not the full truth.
It is. It isn't.
No, it isn't. The
Oh.
true story is, I want to say possibly a year, if not two, before that point, I had been looking for some Final Fantasy content to listen to.
Okay.
And I could not find anything worth a shit. At the time, the only thing that really fit the bill with what I was looking for
Hmm.
was two things. There was the Retronauts,
Hmm.
which is a show that does multiple games. Like, they always do different games. Like, it's just different game every episode, different game. Like, and it's not Final Fantasy exclusively. They just done Final Fantasy.
Yes.
And that's what inspired me to look for, like, because they had done some Final Fantasy episodes, and I was like, this makes me want to listen to just Final Fantasy in a podcast format. I couldn't find shit. This had to be like 2008, 2009, maybe 2010. Like, it's been like it was years leading up to this point. The only thing I could find was a show that does not exist anymore, and it was these two guys with, believe it or not, worse audio quality gear than we started with, doing, I think, and I can't remember exactly the details. I think they did one episode each up through 10 or 11, I think, and then they just stopped as far as I could tell. And the show was absolute dog shit.
Say it ain't so, Rich.
It was, and I don't want to, and I don't remember the name, and if I did remember the name, I wouldn't say it because I don't want to throw those guys under the bus because they went for it.
Right.
They did, and like, like, it was fucking terrible. And at the time, I was like, I feel like if I could get someone together, I could do something that would kick this show's ass. And years later,
you did.
The opportunity came up with you. The idea came up, and our format's different. We don't do one episode per game. We do, over the course of multiple episodes. Right. And at the time we started, there was nobody doing that for Final Fantasy. At all. Like, none. The show that I talked about before was already scrubbed from the fucking internet. It did not exist anymore. So we started. It was literally us, and I think the only other Final Fantasy content on iTunes at the time was a couple shows dealing with Final Fantasy 11 or 14 or both. In fact, some of our earlier listeners were confused when we weren't talking about the MMO. And there was this show that does Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. And they don't really cover, like, the games themselves, like, breakdowns as much as they do, like, the news and thoughts and things. They'll do, like, that sort of thing. I haven't really listened to really any full episodes ever, but I've checked it out, like, 10 years ago. But that's how they're more like news, current events, I wanted retro nostalgia.
Right, yeah.
So we started Damn Chocobo to fill that hole because I thought there was this massive gap. And I think we did it, to the needs that I want. Oh, no, we see, the funny thing is, to kind of come back around, do you remember that show I had mentioned? There was a show and I listened to, and I was like, these guys suck shit. If I get someone together, I could do this better.
Right. Okay.
I think now, looking at the Final Fantasy fandom podcast world,
yes,
there is dozens of people that do what we do.
Okay.
And I really think we were the first of that generation. And I think we were the show that people listen to and they're like, these guys are fucking terrible.
We can do it better.
Yeah. And so to all those, and I really think that's us, and to all those people who that's true, that you started the show because you heard us, and you're like, fuck these idiots, they don't know what they're talking about, they're terrible, they don't even like these games.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah, you are right, and you are welcome. All I'm saying is, we deserve credit for inspiring you to do better.
Yes. We were your inspiration.
Yes. So, that's kind of the true, like, the full pre-origin. That's like the pre-origin of Damn Chocobo. And I love seeing how much the scene has blown up since then, and how presumably everybody's better than us.
Yeah, I will give you that one. Yeah, it would be surprised.
However, on the same token, there's a lot of shows that have started since then, and many of those shows didn't stay.
No,
they didn't stick around. They didn't have lasting power.
Yep, they just fell apart. So
yeah, so while there are many shows that are better than us, we're still going.
Yeah, we're bad, but we still keep going.
I actually don't think we're bad at all now.
Sure,
but I do think we started out quite poor.
Yeah,
I think we are better than adequate now.
I would say so. I mean, it's better than what it was. Let's say that. How about that?
Oh, yeah. I have actually been listening, like I tried to get into earlier before I went off on one of my tangents. I've been listening to the earliest episodes. I haven't listened to any of those in full
Right.
in years. I've checked out a few, like,
Uh-huh.
briefly. Like, before we did 7, I listened to, like, 10-minute clips of our 7 episodes.
Mhm.
Around the 100th episode, I listened to the first episode, about 30 minutes of it or something like that. Like,
Mhm.
so I've listened to things in a bit, but not in full. Because you see, some of that early shit it's incredibly and painfully cringy.
Yes, and yeah, it's almost unlistenable, I would say.
And I would say that to some I would agree with you,
Uh-huh.
but not in the sense that, like, our audio quality's bad, or even that we don't know what we're doing, and we're stuttering and we're kind of stumbling on how we want to go about presenting these things. What I think is hardest to listen to now in 2021,
Mhm.
going on to 2022, is how dated the way we're presenting ourselves are.
Well, sure.
I mean, earlier I mentioned that I was looking for Final Fantasy content to listen to on
Mhm.
iTunes.
Mhm.
That would tell you that I'm a big fan.
Of
To some extent. I mean, of Final Fantasy. You'd
Sure.
have to be a big fan to actively seek out that content.
To an
right?
extent, yeah, you would think.
But in those early episodes, I talk about how I hate these games now. Like, I come off like, I hate these games. Jake likes them, but I think they suck. I'm hoping to regain my love for these, but yeah, they're not good anymore. This is trash. Doesn't this suck? I'm out of my fucking mind. I don't know where that came from, because none of it's true. Not a word of it. I loved that shit then. I love it now. I never stopped loving it. I may have been frustrated
Mhm.
by the direction that the series went to some
Mhm.
extent. But even then, I've come around, and the stuff that may have frustrated me at the time, I love now.
Right.
So the idea that, like, we would both frame ourselves in, like, this adversarial way in those early episodes is frustrating for me to listen to, more so than the low audio quality, more so than us not knowing how to podcast or present ourselves.
Right.
Just that we're so shitty.
Yes. Yes, we are. And I would say that we've both almost reversed roles to an extent, and that's comparison. Like, because I have found that I've turned more into the angry asshole than I was at the beginning of the show. So
Yeah, I don't think you're not as, like, straight up, like, fuck this shit, fuck these things, like I was in the beginning, which makes me sound like, if you don't like these things to this extent, why are you even doing this?
yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
So I could totally understand why there were people who would listen to those earlier episodes and say, why? Like,
Yeah.
why would I listen to these people who don't even like these games?
Yeah. I mean,
I know,
Mhm.
and we very quickly in the 7 episodes start coming around. Like, I want to say by episode 4 or
Right.
5,
Yep.
we've kind of started dropping that facade. And then that's all that's really left is more dated language usage and, like, ways that we describe things that are not particularly classy, or
No.
like, are crass in ways that we don't talk now.
Yeah, we are no. Yeah, we were definitely not PC, and we're still not really that
No,
PC
we're not really
now.
PC. Yeah, we've never been about PC. We're just not about being shitty.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think we were shitty in some of our stuff.
Yeah, I try not to drop the homophobic slurs anymore.
Yeah, like that happened. I think
Mhm.
we used other things like that, not even homophobic stuff, which doesn't
Mhm.
happen that much, but it certainly happened a few times. But
Sure.
like, the term retarded
Yes.
is retired
Yes.
for the most part in the way people speak now, in a
Mhm.
polite, not even polite way, but just like when you're not trying to be shitty.
Right.
Yeah, we both drop it constantly in those early episodes, and it's
Yep.
the sort of thing that, like, nowadays, like, I don't hear people use that word that much anymore.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And so every time I hear it, I feel like a cringe. Like, oh, why? Why am I fucking saying this shit?
Well, I think there's also a level of maturity that has come along as we've done the show as well. So.
Yeah, I think that's entirely true. Like, we've grown up as people.
Yes.
And that's cool. And the only reason I feel that's a shame in those early episodes is because the direction that we were taking it with the negativity and the dated language and stuff like that, and just like, well, we were a little bit shittier in how we talk about women.
Yeah.
I would say on occasion, which, I mean, it's not. In the time, our ages and the time frame, I think it's understandable why that may have happened, but it's not acceptable, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But that overshadows the good points that we do make, the good comments that we make. Like, because I think we do say some good shit. It's just covered in
Yeah,
bad.
it's glazed over in just some of these slurs that we use and offensive language. So
Yeah, and while I think it took us a while to get over that stuff, like fully, like retire it. I
right.
do think we kind of quickly improve, like rapidly. Like, when would you say that we kind of get our stride, if you remember correctly?
I would argue that maybe after 13, because I mean I still hate that game. But
Do you hate it, or are you just frustrated about how it worked out?
I
Like,
there's a hate there. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not near as violent and hot burning as it once was, but it's a smoldering like coal burn for that game. I still have it. It's sitting over there. But I think we started really hitting I would argue that was once I got over that hatred of that game, like and I don't want to say get over. Get over is not a correct term. I would say once we got it off that plate, because that game, that game just, I was so angry at it. Because and there was a little bit of hate with 10 as well. I got really pissed off at that one too. But that wasn't necessarily the game, like the entire game. That was just one particular boss. I
Yeah.
still remember that one.
I think this show has gone in eras.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, like, there are these moments where we have these strong, we improve what I would say is dramatically. Like, we level up in terms of how we present ourselves, the frequency of audio hiccups, like just these like tangible moments of growth. And I think, like, you could start by saying, I think the first moment of, like, growth for us is when we started Final Fantasy 1. I think that that at that point, by the time we started episode 1, Final Fantasy 1, which was episode 10, we had worked out the kinks of how we were doing the show.
Okay.
Like, what damn Chocobo would become had started to form.
Well,
so it took.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's like phase 1. Like, that's the first, like, evolution. I think we evolved again during Final Fantasy 6.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's in the.
That's after 13.
Yeah, in the 30s, like the late 30s, I think we had a growth spurt there in terms of, like, I think we got. And maybe my opinion will change when I finish, like, listening through all these.
Right. I mean,
but there was even like a length of our episodes. Like, after we get through 6, like through 6, we're sitting around 2 hours. And after we get through there and we get into 10, it's consistently over 2 hours.
Right.
Like, that's like a new era. Like the era of episodes that go way too fucking long. Like, by episode, like,
well, I
our
mean,
last Final Fantasy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we were borderlining 4 hours, I think, at one point.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Like, all right. By the time our last Final Fantasy 6 episode was 2 hours and 1 minute. And that was, like, we were in that range throughout 6. It was like hour 56, 2:23, 2 hours on the dot. Like, the shortest was an hour and a half, or hour 20 minutes, which no, that was Super Mario Brothers. That one doesn't count. That was so yeah, our shortest in that era was an hour and a half, and that was, like, unusually,
Right.
But then we get into 10, and we are over 2 hours every single episode. In fact, part 6 of Final Fantasy X, which is episode 46, that's 3 hours and 43 minutes right there.
Jeez.
And then after that, we get into Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah.
And then we had we had 3 hours and 27 minutes in there, like one in there. Like, we just suddenly start, we are consistently over 2 hours.
Right.
I think every once in a while we have something a little bit under, like one of the link to the past ones is just under 2. The Kingsglaive movie is an hour and 55.
I think we tried to actually watch the movie while we're. Or no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Never mind. Never mind.
One of the Final Fantasy VIII episodes is under 2 hours, but even then, like 8, they're usually 2.5 or longer.
Right. Well, that's what you were shooting for, was that sweet spot of about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think my ideal length was always 2 hours. That's what I wanted to get it to originally for a longest time, and then it just ballooned and kind of started getting out of control. I think our next phase in evolution actually is during 15.
Okay, and see, one of the things I want to point out through these evolving aspects, because this is so the first game that you mentioned that where we started evolving was a game that we had not played yet.
That's a fact.
Okay, 15. Well, I don't know. You didn't? Did you play 15 before we actually started? Okay, yeah, because I
played
had
it once, but I didn't play everything because the DLC wasn't out by then.
Gotcha. And well, okay, so I haven't played 15 at that point, so I was playing it for the first time through that period as well. So, I think the main name of the game, in a sense, as far as evolution is concerned, falls around games that we hadn't played before, so we don't know what to expect. So I think that kind of works in our favor in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because you just mentioned two games that that kind of follow.
I mean, we did. Well, yeah, one evolution was 1, but then we had both played 6 before, and that was an evolutional phase. 6 leading into 10.
Yeah, because I never finished 10, so.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if we've had any evolutionary leaps since 15. I think we've kind of been par for the course. As much as I think we had some after 15, we tried to mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
Like literally the episode after our final Final Fantasy 15 was the first bird droppings.
Right. Okay.
And then we threw in a bunch of those for the year of 2020, and in 2021 we haven't done as many of those.
Right.
It's just time. Like we're just busy and it's hard to do. But those are fun to do. We just have to have a topic that's interesting.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we haven't found one that really hits a chord lately, so.
Yeah. So I've suggested some, and it's just it's not hitting, and understandably, So.
Right. Yep. So.
I know there was also talk early on of after when we started doing bird droppings, we were talking about doing more guest spots as well. And that hasn't really happened either.
That died on the vine.
It did, and it's pretty understandable why, though, right? Like,
well, I mean, it's it's hard to coordinate shit like that.
It's absolutely a miracle when we can coordinate, just the two of us. Trying to coordinate with a third person has proven to be next to impossible.
Yes.
I think that in some ways our age simultaneously works for us and against us in that aspect, because the time isn't there anymore.
Right.
Like we would never start a podcast now in our late 30s, but in our late 20s we had the time.
Yeah, we didn't know what the fuck to do. We were like, because at that time, I mean, I was in college, and I literally had nothing to do, and that was a great leap forward technically for myself. And when I say career-wise, okay, hosting, I hosted a website out of my home.
Yeah, so I know. In some ways, we could also talk about the evolution. It has not only evolved in terms of how we presented the show, but there's been other evolutions outside of that. Like like when we started the show, we had one logo. Then later, I changed it to the Pixel Chocobo logo, chugging the Jack Daniels. The original one was like try to evoke the look of like those Final Fantasy. Those logos that go with the Final Fantasy name that Yoshitaka Amano always does, and they're kind of like inky and stuff like that. And
I still have it.
It's a cool idea. I want to redo it. I want to do a redux of that one of these days and actually hand do it. I did it digitally in Illustrator. I wasn't even that great with Illustrator at the time. Illustrator wasn't a thing I used a lot in art school. It was something that I was kind of started doing when I became a professional graphic designer, when I had to remake logos. So like I thought it would be a good idea to make our logo as a vector logo, because then it'd be easier to like kind of put on things. Like if you're putting it on a business card or printing, you can scale it easily. I think now I would hand draw it and paint, like as like an illustration.
Okay.
I think my knowledge about how to create a
accomplish it.
logo
Yeah.
like that is different, and just I went about it in a way that did not make sense for the end product, so it never looked a way that I was satisfied with.
Right.
The later evolution I want, because I changed it because our tone, the original one was serious looking and very like Final Fantasy, you know?
Yep.
And we were kind of like idiots, so I changed it.
Yeah.
And then around the episode 50, there was another evolution with the art side, where I started doing unique little episode artworks for every single episode. And that was actually inspired by a show that I used to watch religiously that I do not watch anymore, because it just there's a certain tone to it that just not matched with what I enjoy.
Sure.
Called and that may have changed in the years. I haven't listened to it in like 5 years, but a show called Rebel FM. They talk about video game stuff, and they used to be my favorite podcast in the entire fucking world. And then it just got way too preachy in some ways.
Sure.
There's really just one host that like I think is a great guy, but just rubs me the wrong way to listen to. Situations like I bet if I knew the guy personally, we'd probably get along great, and he would be awesome to hang out with. I just don't like listening to how he presents himself in an audio format and a podcast entertainment format. Anyway, they were starting to do unique episode artworks, but it would just like be a screenshot of a game and then their logo stuck on it, and then like the episode title, like episode number, whatever. Like they were doing that, and I was like, that's easy as shit. I can do that. And so the first one I did was I was just literally just going to throw up a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator and then put damn Chocobo episode whatever. But then I was like, oh, I should match the Predator logo, the Predator typeface for our stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, what if I replace Arnold's face with a fucking Chocobo? And so that started this thing for years where I was doing like, I was putting together these episode artworks, but I would Photoshop in a Chocobo somewhere. It had to be an artwork. There was like the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past episodes. I was finding the game artwork, like the illustrations that were done for the game, but photoshopping in Chocobo heads for Link's head. And
hilarious.
Then and I remember when we did Marvel Heroes, I took a screenshot of, you know how like every time that game booted there was always like a big like wallpaper or something like that. I took one of those and like replaced like the Hulk's head with the Chocobo and Captain Marvel. But I had to pick an appropriate Chocobo to replace heads with. So like Legend of Zelda was like a cartoony Chocobo from like I think Mysterious Dungeon. But Marvel Heroes, it had that more realistic artwork, so I defined like one from like the MMO because it had a more realistic looking Chocobo. And then later, the artwork evolved again, where it just became me making up random shit. Like before, it was like I was just grabbing something that made sense to the game, photoshopping a Chocobo head in. My favorite one is still one I arbitrarily did. It was Emperor Palpatine shooting electricity. I don't remember what episode it was. But I managed to like replace Palpatine with a Chocobo, and at the time I thought it was fucking rad. And if people want, like, I think I post every single one on the Facebook, so you can totally go back. I'm kind of really amused by the music episode because I did an Abbey Road homage where I just photoshopped the fucking Chocobos, 4 Chocobos crossing the road. And it is not the album cover of Abbey Road, but I found like people would go to Abbey Road and take the shot from the Beatles album cover.
Right.
Without either people in it, they'd take themselves in it, or they would just take pictures of the shot with nobody. So I found like shots of that without anybody in it. It's like a more modern photo, but whatever. It's like all the idea across. Care.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then later, I think I just started making up random shit and throwing it in there.
Right.
Not even game relevant. And I stopped photoshopping Chocobo heads in.
Right. Yeah.
And that was always kind of fun. It started becoming like in-jokey stuff. Like that only I would laugh about, or maybe you would laugh about if you looked, which I never expected you to do so. Like there was one where I put the Squall just starting to do his limit break on, I think it was Griever, like
Okay.
one of the final bosses in
Yep.
8,
Mhm.
and I photoshopped a tiny tear engraver, just like the boss's face, just as it was starting.
Gotcha.
And now for tactics, I've literally I templated it throughout the entire game, so I could just switch out a screenshot of the game and change text,
Mhm.
because I thought that would be a quick and easy way to fart these out quicker, because I was originally going to try to get these episodes out faster, so I wanted to come up with a way to get these episodes artworks done quicker, and
Sure.
it did not work. It didn't turn out to be necessary because we didn't stick the landing with getting episodes out as fast as I wanted, but
Right.
it still worked out.
Yeah. I like the one where Mike Tyson's Zell. That's hilarious.
that one is really entertaining. I think my all-time favorite, the one I feel the most inspired by, is episode 99. And
Okay.
it's a toilet seat with Kate Sith sitting, like, poking out of.
He's like singing.
Yeah, he's just like, it's like he's sitting inside the bowl.
What is that?
I
gotta look at this one here. Oh, I can't see what he says. It's the one where it's Sid 98, the one just before.
Oh, he's holding an award for number one piece of shit award. Yeah. For the Final Fantasy 9, it's episode 98, the
Right,
7th replay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had fun with 95, replacing Princess Leia with the little prince from 12 at the end of New Hope.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish you could blow these up.
I know. I really like on Facebook. You can look at them because I post them all there. On episode 95 or 94, I really like it because it's just an image of the Okura from 12.
Mm-hmm.
But my idea was I wanted it to look like an industrial metal like album cover.
Okay.
Like something that that looks like the album cover to something I listen to on Spotify. I really like the episode 91 as well, because it's just fucking Vaughn sitting on like a sea of speech bubbles about "I'm Captain Bosch," like all those quotes.
I'm Captain Bosch. That's hilarious. Okay, all right. I'm on the page now. Let's see.
There was also this brief era where I was trying to make them. I was literally remaking album covers.
Okay.
And some of them were pretty unknown. Like episode 80 is a remake of an album by the Police. It's like an album cover by the Police. I don't remember which Police album, but I was in a Sting phase.
Yeah.
Episode
Desert Rose,
80,
right?
Yeah. Episode 81 is a reference to the first Nine Inch Nails album.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And episode 82 is a direct reference to Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson.
I was looking back.
I forgot about episode 83's artwork too. I wanted to make so there's this era of rap album covers in the mid 90s where there's this studio who made literally rap album covers, and they're always overly shitty, just dollar bills and dogs and chains and shit. So just old English font, fucking photoshopping chains and sunglasses on our boy, the bad man from Arden. Throwing a couple dogs.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Oh, that is great.
Let's see. I gotta find out who is the. So if you Google search worst hip hop album covers of all time,
okay,
you'll see a lot of my inspiration for that.
Okay.
The Big Bear's album "Doing Things," and a Snoop Dogg's Snoop World.
Jeez.
Or "The game is to be sold, not to be told." Most of that it was Cash Money Records and No Limit Records. Those guys, their album covers. Yeah.
Okay.
Their album covers were fucking. That's where I got my inspiration from for that.
I was just thinking. So you posted on our Facebook page there's a lot of pictures of 15 as an album. And
yeah.
I remember the end game photo of that. Oh. What was it? Who's the guy? The blind guy? I can't remember the character. Ignis. And he's got Noctis. Like it looks like he's on his knees. Look at his crotch. Oh. Don't forget about derp. The Final Fantasy. What the hell? Seymour.
Yeah.
Duck face.
I actually recently found that and just completely lost my shit because when we created the damn Chocobo Gmail account, I don't know if you remember, but there was that short-lived Google like social media thing.
Okay.
Like Google had their own social thing. So I turned the damn Chocobo, and if you have a Google account, you automatically had a social media account. Right. So I opened damn Chocobos and I changed the icon for it to that Derp Seymour. Oh, I forgot about the album cover is the album cover for Secret of Mana in episode 76. I think that one's inspired too because it's like a romance novel.
I gotta look at the Derp one. I gotta look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah, I gotta.
For those who don't know, there was an error in like the initial release of the HD remaster for 10, and there's one scene where for whatever reason Seymour's face like deforms, and it just looks like he has a birth defect.
Yeah. Derp. He looks exactly like that, like an idiot.
I'm trying to remember what my final image for for 15 was, and I think I made it Gladio's sister.
Okay. Iris or whatever.
Yeah, so that when that scene happens when
right.
That emotional moment when they look at the picture.
Yeah.
It's a picture of some other woman.
Yeah. Well, there's another picture I have of it's a badass picture, but it's why can't I remember his fucking name? He just told me it like 2 seconds ago. Ignis. Is it Ignis? Is it Ignis? I'm trying to think. Is it Ignis? I think it's Ignis. No, it's Gladio. He's hold the gun gangster style. Like he's about to pop a cap in an ass. This is weird. Yeah, 15 we had way too much fun with regarding the photos.
I forgot this meme that I posted a long time ago on the Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Me after I beat the boss, even though it beat me 500 times. And it's a picture of a guy going, "No, your fucking play is trash."
Yeah. 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 I just read that.
For some reason, I posted during it was during 5.
Uh-huh.
Your piano skills will level up. So I took a screenshot and posted that on
right.
Facebook.
What the hell? Yep. Okay. So yeah, there's the 9 Inch Nails. Oh. Hey, look at this dick.
There's a shot that I think it was me or you
I think that one was you.
Yeah, it looks like oh fuck Noctis. It looks like Noctis is pointing at Ignis's dick. Like he's crouched over and and Ignis is like standing there like, "Yep, what's up?" Y'all know what's going on here. I have no idea why, but I'm assuming it has something to do with the episode conversation with episode 78, where I just photoshopped Jim Carrey a bunch in the episode artwork.
What the hell? Okay, that's Secret of Mana.
Or episode 70, where it's the 3 main girls surrounded by like a bunch of stereotypical geeks. Like, I should have posted pictures of us in there too, honestly.
Nah, it's fine. What you buying? What you selling? From Secret of Mana?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the girls. Part 3. What the fuck's a baby doing in it?
And which one?
It's episode 71.
There's a baby in episode 71.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Darcy. So it. Oh, all right. So this was shortly after my daughter was born, and we had done like my wife was into doing these like. It's a good fucking picture. It's episode 71 that he's talking about. My wife liked to take monthly pictures of my daughter as she was like on her birthday every month. And there was this one that like she put her in the dress and everything, and she just flopped over to her side and was like she was trying to run away while she was laying on the ground. And that was a shot that we took of her, so it looks like she's running past.
Oh.
Nope.
You've got one. Episode 66. Jack Sparrow's doing the Buddy Christ thing.
Yeah.
He's got the sunglasses on and everything.
Oh yeah. I put the meme sunglasses on. And I went with Sora as a lion.
Right. Which I think is absolutely terrible.
Oh yeah.
That was like the worst idea. I don't know where they got it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm deep. I still have a soft spot for episode 62. I fucking put Squall in a gimp mask.
What the hell? Squall in a gimp mask.
Yeah, it's Queestus, the sexy dom teacher,
okay,
holding a whip or holding a riding crop in front of a wall full of whips, and Squall wearing a fucking gimp mask. And the time I was inspired, I have no idea why. That's the era of me just doing shit because it seemed funny to me.
I don't see it on the Facebook page.
You don't? You'll see it.
Let's see, I see 63.
Mm-hmm. Keep going down.
Going down. There's you name Eden, and then there's us being stupid, and then there's and then okay, you've been posting 12. Hey, what are you guys' favorite status effect? Mine's everything. And then so you post some more like stuff, but then I see episode 61.
Keep going.
Oh, wait. Oh, there's 62. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot you dual released them.
Yeah.
He's just riding crop. It looks like he's being hung.
A little bit. Well, right. You gave him a dog collar too. You're right.
Wow.
I don't know what the fuck I was on about.
You're smoking some stuff there. I don't know, man.
I was. You're right about episode 57 though. The Mike Tyson said.
It's hilarious.
I don't know what the fuck was going on there, but I love it.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's the face tattoo.
Yeah, it's a face tattoo. Because doesn't he have one? I thought he did.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Episode 56 makes me sad. That's the Marvel Heroes one. I actually recently started Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 because I got a Switch.
Right.
And motherfucker, Marvel Heroes ruined the Ultimate Alliance games for me. It was so much better. Like, I can't go back.
So what the hell is wow, that was a goofy Zelda one I saw. Sad Batman. Excuse me. Got a Chocobo getting whacked.
Whacked in the ass by
Zell.
Yeah.
Or Link. Yeah.
That was during my Dark Souls phase too, so there's a lot
Yeah.
of the screenshots of Dark Souls
Right.
So
Technically, we also like from a technical standpoint, as far as hosting and things, we evolved as well. I mean, we went from like
yeah, I meant to ask you about that.
yeah, because we started we started hosting it out of the house, and I think with GoDaddy doing the domain, probably shouldn't have
Yeah,
mentioned.
it's always been GoDaddy
Yeah,
doing the domain.
and then we shortly after, I think that's when we went to that to my ex's brother hosting it.
That's right.
And then we went to AWS.
AWS, right?
Yeah, I think that was it and that was where the crisis began because we didn't have a way to get into that server, the old server anymore, and we had to pretty much reconstitute everything.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that was
It was bad, man. It was bad. It was a bad situation. But
that was a lesson for you to learn to not put things in places that you are not guaranteed full access forever.
Yeah, pretty much is the case. So, and then we just hosted it out of AWS for the longest time, and I sat there and cussed at the website because you kept putting ampersands in them.
Yeah, we custom wrote our RSS feed for fucking years, like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually we finally reached a point where I was like, Jake, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do it. We're just going to use a typical podcast hosting service. And that's where we are now. But for years, we handled it ourselves, like hands-on, everything.
Yeah. We did it we did it like from scratch for real deal. So
yeah. And I think it just got too big. The RSS got too long.
Oh yeah, it was just
managing issues with AWS because like trying to run a dynamic server from that just doesn't make sense. It didn't work.
Yeah.
At the time,
and it was becoming such a critical item that it was like to have that long and that big of a RSS feed was just nuts.
And it was like I remember there was one time the RSS feed got fucked up.
Yeah.
And we had to dig through and find a mostly similar old one because we backed them up thankfully every time.
Yes.
And had to rewrite, like find what got fucked up and rewrite it. And it just like, oh god. I just found an old Facebook post from December 4th, 2015. Is Minwoo Frog.
Minwoo Frog. Minwoo.
Gosh. I think that was me getting so like unbelievably impressed that they did like unique character portraits in the menus for your characters when they got turned into frogs, including characters who aren't even in your party that long, like Minwoo. And I was like, this fucking rules.
Oh, oh yeah, syntoxins. They fuck you. They fuck you up.
That's a fact.
Then there's
Do you remember our minor obsession with the Hill Gigas in 6?
Fuck. Taking a squat.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of still does look that way to me, just a little bit.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
And we kind of dropped off Chocobo Stampede. That was from the very first episode. Or very first.
Yeah. There are little things like that started super fucking early. I can't remember. We started your dedications really early on too.
Yeah, that was like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah. The me slapping the controller against my ass like thing. That's like episode 1 or 2. That's episode 1 or 2. And I said it one time, and you never let it go.
No, I just kept it perpetuating. Oh, we're slapping the controller against our ass now.
I just kept getting to this point where like, please, just let it die. And you're like, nope. Nope.
Not happening.
It is that. Yeah, you just kept it fucking going. It's funny how many things start that way. I still think that the fuck off thing, like, we started telling people to fuck off on occasion earlier, but it didn't become a full-time thing I think, until 6.
Yeah.
Until you ran into Rama, which we
Yeah.
used to
This
pronounce
is
Ramua. Is probably one of the stupidest, most inspired moments of the show.
Yeah.
Jake, thinking back, like we've said this before, but it's always worth going back for nostalgia's sake. What game do you look back on the most, like that doing that game fucking ruled?
Kind of put me on the spot here, sir.
Yeah, I did.
Looking back, just going over some of the stuff that we've been talking about, I would argue that maybe 15 we had a blast with. That was a real good, just a feel good experience all the way around. We really took off and had a lot of fun with that.
I think that was a really good experience. Like, I wonder how long that one took us to do. Because sometimes you can tell, like, if there's a big gap. There was a little bit of a gap between the last episode on that one. It was like May 12th to July 7th. But, like, otherwise, like, it's pretty snappy for the most part on that.
Yeah,
it's just, the back chunk of that game started taking forever. I don't know what was going on in late 2019. Oh, parental stuff for me.
Yeah. That's all you, dude.
Yeah, that was me. Like, you can tell whenever there's these weird gaps, it's because, like, shit got real at home.
Yeah, exactly. Ironically enough, though, I mean, I don't think we have too big of a gap despite all my moves.
Yeah, I know there was like a 2-month gap when Darcy was born. February 17th to April 22nd.
Yeah, because even the move to Florida, there wasn't much of a gap, I don't think.
There was a move after you, like when stuff took off with Sam.
Oh.
I remember the summer of that, there was a lot of like shit just not happening.
Well, because one of the big things was the fact that I didn't have stable internet there.
Yeah.
And the power was getting shut off periodically while I was there.
Like that first place you were staying at?
Yeah, the very first place I was staying at. They wouldn't pay some people would miss out on the utility bill and the power would get shut off.
That's wild.
Yeah. What makes it wilder is that so this was.
When was that? Was that 20?
You just said it was summer of 2013.
2013.
Yep. Because what was wilder about it was the fact that I stayed in the house. Okay. And it was all. There was two different. They were like on two different circuits or two different meters.
What?
Yeah. Despite being one house. So the downstairs, they paid their bill no problems. But the upstairs, I didn't have any control over the bill there. And they would, one of the other tenants wouldn't be able to pay the bill. And that's the reason why it would get shut off.
And the fact that it would affect everybody, that's fucked up.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I would come home from work and I find the power off. I was like, fuck.
How long were you in that house?
About 9 months. Started from January all the way until September.
I know in growing pains of the show, editing was a major growing pain in the early days. There was a point occasionally when our files wouldn't sync, and it drove me forever, like nuts for years, trying to figure that shit out. Because eventually we just switched computers. I got a newer computer, and I thought that fixed it. But in retrospect, I think it was because there was this period of time where we were recording our files separately, which we still do as backup. But I would then take his MP3 and sync it with mine. But it would only work, and I realized it way later. It would only sync appropriately if I synced it to the exported MP3 from mine. If I saved the Audacity file and just tried to sync your MP3 with my raw Audacity file, the timing was just a teeny bit off, and that's what caused some of those syncing issues earlier on, because I didn't just create a new Audacity file and sync it with the MP3, my MP3 and your MP3.
Right.
And it's such a stupid little thing like that. You would think that wouldn't do it, but then later I was like, wait a second, If I do it this way, it doesn't work, and if I do it this way, it does. And at that point, then we just started using our what was started as a backup recording, then became our full-time recording.
And there was also an issue where we had a malware situation as well. I didn't realize
on the
that.
website. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that sucked. We another editing quirk for a while there was we would record episodes, and we always used to test beforehand. And then every once in a while we would go to record, and it would just be a complete shit show. Like there'd be a short in the recording cable, and that was mostly because that was just an episode we didn't test, and then it came out like shit. And sometimes we would re-record, but there's a handful of times we didn't. And at the time I was like, you know what, it's good. We don't want to go through. I'd hate to lose the chemistry. But now when I go back and I hear those, I'm like, maybe we should have re-recorded that.
Wow.
Like it would have been a pain in the ass, but also like long term that would have been like better.
Yeah.
Like archival wise, anyway. And a couple of them are like on what would have been like important episodes, and we're just like, there's a weird audio hiccup here. Fuck it, deal with it.
So I was looking at some of the posts. It's July 30th of 2012. Breaking news: Jake is a straight up bitch. In other news, Rich is incredibly masculine and attractive to women. The following day, was it the day? Yeah, no, not even the following day. It was the following post. In today's news, Rich needs to this was really insensitive of me now. But in today's news, Rich needs to man up and get over his dead rabbit. That was horrible of me.
Oh, that is really shitty.
And then you responded with, in a recent update, it was uncovered that Jake is a mean and heartless man. Also, there are rumors of non-functional genitalia. And then I responded back after that, like most news service, we deeply apologize for the last update. As a common knowledge at this point in regards to the non-functional genitalia rumor, we retract our completely slanderous statement about Jake's genitalia, and we have been told it is fully functional and aesthetically pleasing. In other news, despite the claims that Rich is incredibly masculine and attractive, it seems that these attributes are moot due to the fact that he is in fact a complete dumbass when it comes to women, as quoted per Rich.
That's true. I mean, you hit me where I lived on that one. That's entirely true.
That's just a little great back and forth there. It was,
but
beautiful. God, that was awful of me though to say about the dead rabbit. Yeah.
I mean, we back. I mean, that's like 2012. That's like
that plays into it. Yeah.
Like we were young and stupid. I don't think it bothered me that much. I knew what you were going for. I don't think that upset me at all at the time.
Okay.
But we would say dumb shit back in the day, and most of that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Mr. Fellatio.
Mr. Fellatio. I actually, for years, on our Skype, Jake was named the Lord of Taint or something, Taint Sweat or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
the God of Taint Sweat.
God of Taint Sweat. I only just recently changed your name on our Skype chat to King Jake. So like, all right, let's change it to something else.
A little bit more PC in case your kids are coming in or something.
Not even PC. It's just like, you know what? He deserves a touch of respect. Let's give him something.
Wow. I just look at some of these quotes. Screwing chocobos is damn hard. Take it out of context. That's horrible. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh,
and
man.
on February 26, 2019, I say a bold new idea for the show is brewing between me and Jake that has me really excited, and I hope it pans out. And I have no idea what I'm referring to then.
I'm wondering if it was bird droppings.
Oh, that might be because we then started doing bird droppings briefly afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know we used to, like, we've never been super active on social media.
Right.
But I did like to throw random stuff out like there. There was a while where I was just posting teasers to episodes, and then like I would tease an episode going up, and then it wouldn't go up for like 2.5 weeks, and I'd be like, okay, never mind, let's stop doing that. Or just like post pictures of the games we're about to play, or just random shit like that. Like talk about a game that we non-Final Fantasy that I played and just kind of like thoughts
Right.
on something.
Episode 33 arrived like shadow sneaking up on Rich. Every time Rich encounters him, he gets surprised. And it's not always a pleasant one either.
That's true.
Wow. Look at this poor bastard. For the love of God, someone show him where the bathroom is.
People have been asking for Vagrant Story for like almost the entire duration of this show, and I keep saying, it's in the pipeline. It's something we've talked about, and it still just keeps like not happening. And we have talked about it, and it's almost happened a few times. It's just then something else comes up. Like even the game we're playing after Tactics, I actually teased to one of the fans before, because they're like, man, tell me what's the next episode. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? And I'm like, well, actually, it's going to be. Then I hinted towards what we were going to play at the time, and we've since changed plans, and it's not going to be that anymore. So sorry.
Yeah. You have a tendency to break your promises a lot to the fans.
I do. I make a lot of promises, and I just don't do it. Well, I get excited about things, and I want people to know what's up, and then I new ideas.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of these other ones. Wow.
I think it's really interesting going back to May 6th, 2017. I post pictures of the Play Arts Kai Final Fantasy Remake Cloud Strife. And my post is, leave it to Square Enix to release figures for a game they haven't even given a release date for. The game would not release for another 3 years. Jesus. They released an action figure 3 years before the game the action figure is from. Like 3 years before the game came out. Like, that's nuts. That's fucking insane.
That is pretty stupid.
And then later they had to re-release that figure with a different head because they changed the head design.
Wow.
Yeah, so I bought that one too. It's honestly not that different, but it's different enough.
I was looking at the Punch-Out episode.
I actually looked at the metrics recently for the show, and it's kind of interesting how like the holiday year-end episodes, while we have a lot of fun doing them, they're also like the least listened to episodes.
Well,
at least by modern, at least since we switched over to Libsyn. The old ones, they don't go back. People don't go back and re-listen to them. Like they do good when they first release, but nobody ever goes back and re-listens to them. Or everything else, everything else, people will go back and listen to on occasion. Not those really, not by the same numbers. Like, and it's a huge gap.
I remember you used to the Hardy Boys like covers. You're just, what the hell?
Those are fun. Oh, the weird twisted paperback things or something like that, where they just Photoshop. I love this. Like, I still follow there's like a Twitter that posts those. They're still fucking hilarious.
Episode 50. Don't forget El Presidente edition.
I know. I've always wanted to do another El Presidente edition, but just getting that whole crew together in a room is next to impossible now.
Yeah.
I have kids. Jason has kids. I tried to do an episode with Jason, bird droppings, a while ago, and
it just didn't plan out.
He had to be like watching the kids and the dogs while we were recording, and his dogs just decided to just lose their shit.
Right.
And like he didn't mean that. He didn't have control over that. And so I had to like edit out as much of the dogs as I could. But it's just like, like trying to plan this stuff around that's hard.
Yeah. So
El Presidente lives in fucking LA still. Like,
oh, yeah.
But, we still hear from those guys on occasion. I still do. In our chat. But not like I give anybody calls.
Right.
I don't like talking on the phone.
You don't like talking on the phone, Rich? Why not?
I do not.
Why do you be such a hater?
I apparently started playing Dark Souls in the June of 2016, and you can just see in my posts just like the rage building, and then at some point it's like, no, there's actually fucking rules.
Oh.
Like, you could just see posts and posts of me just being like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck these, fuck those, fuck them.
Dude, Chapter 9, that sure was something. I don't even know what the hell you're referring to.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts. Still love the episode 51. Episode 51 is the Predator artwork episode that, like, started this whole fucking chain of those. If I asked you earlier, like, what game do you feel good about? And I kind of agree with you about 15, but I would also say 2, like 1, 2, 5, and 15. I just have, like, kind of warm fuzzies thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
I have good feelings about the 0 episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, because it was, like, such a good idea, and
Right.
like it's just a better version of our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to do a tag, like record a new tag at the beginning of episode 1 and episode 2. At the beginning of episode 1, I think I'm starting to lose my voice. Fuck. I want to point people to listen to the 0 episode first.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, it's a better version of this episode, but if you want to listen to it,
Right.
listen with caveats.
Yes.
And kind of the same idea with the first episode of 7. That old Final Fantasy 7 run still gets people listening to it, but I don't think but very few people ever finish it.
Right.
Like, if somebody starts with our initial Final Fantasy 7
Mm-hmm.
review, the percentage that they stick with the show is very small, and understandably so.
Yeah.
I want to kind of put a little recording at the front of the first 7 episode to be like, hey,
This is awful. Please,
for these reasons, we suggest you actually go to the much later recording where we replay this
Mm-hmm.
with from a better place.
Right.
And just kind of give, once again, caveats. If you're going to listen, know this. And,
Right.
We recommend listening to anything else first.
Anything.
Because, again, like I said before, I do think there is good stuff in those 7 episodes, the Final Fantasy 7 episodes from our initial recording, and even the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least from a, like, get a perspective on who these people are sort of thing, or were. But, like, there's I don't feel good with people going in and getting, like, the impression, that as their first impression of who we are.
Right.
Because it doesn't feel accurate or honest.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. As far as that, that first game, that Final Fantasy, it was rough. It was really rough. So, just straight up.
Yeah. But I do think that by the time we played Final Fantasy 1,
Mm-hmm.
like, our love for the series
Mm-hmm.
had blossomed hard.
Yeah.
Like, if, and I say this as a if, because in, like, looking at it now, I don't know what I was fucking going on about in those early episodes, because I as far as I recall, I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time we replayed Final Fantasy 1, like, we clearly, like, any pretense of hating these games or not liking JRPGs or having an issue with Final Fantasy was done. Like,
Right.
we were, like, fully back on board with the franchise.
Well, there was also, I think you remember this with Final Fantasy II specifically. I ran into that issue that it was not playable. Final Fantasy Origins was not playable on the PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3, yeah.
It was a quick catch up because I had to pretty much abandon the save. And
do you remember what you did to fix that problem?
You can't fix it. The only thing I think I had going for me was the fact that I had to buy the game again. Like
digitally?
Yeah, digitally. And
okay, because I remember, like, there was a way to play it on PlayStation 3 that wasn't a problem. It was just disc. Could you use the same saves?
I think that's how I got around it. If I recall, because
like download the digital version and just use the same save you played up to that point.
I think maybe. I also think it was. The other thing was that it was really early in the game. That was what was going for us as well.
Yeah.
Because it didn't take much to catch up, but it did delay us a little bit because I had to catch up. I don't think I could use the original save because of, I don't know what the reasoning was behind it. I had an issue with it.
That also kind of reminds me of something else. Do you remember
Uh-oh.
our brief foray into streaming?
Yes. That was not a good idea.
You know, the thing is, we actually did have some people comment on those on YouTube.
A few
And
times.
there's some people like, man, you're not, why did you stop?
Oh, yeah. And, well, I think we stopped. There was it just became too much of an ordeal to try to sync it all up all at once.
Yeah.
Is what it came down to. That, and there's always, like, when we did that, it was a delay that I was constantly fighting with in the process. So, that was one of the reasons why we kind of abandoned it.
We just didn't have the gear to do that really well.
No, we did not. I still have the gear, and I think it now, like, I could still do it if I wanted to. I would probably do it a different way. I think I would just probably do it over PC if I could, instead of trying to do it over, like, console.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It would make it makes things a lot easier. So.
I foresee the future of Damn Chocobo is you playing most things on PC with everything kind of coming to PC these days. Like, that's probably the way it's going to be.
So, unless we go back to 4, then we can go back to console.
I mean, but 4, I mean, you could also do 4 on PC as well. Like,
sure.
All the Pixel remasters, you know, they put out on Steam, so.
Yeah, it's an idea.
I just saw the fucking Seymour thing again. God damn, I love that thing.
Dirt.
Oh god, I start posting about Final Fantasy Type 0 back in 2015. That is a game like that I still like. I hope holds up, and I really want to play for the show. Like I loved that game. Is there any games that you can think of that you're just super kind of chomping at the bit to get to on the show? For years, Tactics was our big like.
Yeah.
This has got to mean something. This Tactics has got to be synced with something important.
And we really didn't sync it with anything.
I mean, we sunk it. It was right after episode 100, and we changed the format a little bit.
Yep.
So, like, whether or not that format change sticks, who knows? But the point is, like, there was, at least at first, we were a little bit quicker. And, you know.
Was.
Key.
Yeah, was.
But I think that there's a couple other games that definitely that just come to mind that are ones that are just big to me in my head. And we're starting to run low on, like, actual numbered Final Fantasy games.
Yep, we're getting to that point, yep.
I know a lot of these shows that do this shit, they burn through their content and they're done. They don't got anything else. They got no other juice, you know? So that was always something that we were like, we are not going to burn through everything in 2 years and then have nothing to say.
Right, yep. Well, we lasted longer than 2 years.
That's a fact. I still consider anything that came out during the golden era, the golden age for Square Enix, that's a JRPG, as relevant to the show, as like almost a must play.
Is that a question?
No, that's just how I view the show in general.
Oh yeah,
I will never feel complete. Like, we're done until we do the actual numbered Final Fantasies, Super Mario RPG. Yes. Xenogears.
Yes.
Chrono Cross.
Right. Yep.
Parasite Eve.
That one I never played. So
I know that came out during the golden era. Like that's part one of those, you know. I would almost even go outside of Square Enix to possibly name something else, but
I just looked at. I didn't realize. I forgot that Yuta was in there, like, trying to get married.
Yeah, that's what's going on. The fucking Seymour picture.
I mean, I remember the Seymour picture. I just don't remember, like, because, you know, wedding.
Because I cropped it out. Yeah, I cropped it towards just his face, but the full scene. He's in the background.
Yeah.
He's literally in the upper right corner background.
It's such a, you know, a wedding is such a, and he's just like, Oh God, that's hilarious. Oh, it's a lot of focus. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a stupid pick.
You know, it's funny. Like literally, if you Google search Final Fantasy 15 or FFX Seymour glitch, we're the first one. Like our
Oh,
image,
really?
our Facebook is the very first thing that comes up.
Oh, damn, we don't have that picture up here.
And if you search Final Fantasy, like the full word, Final Fantasy 10,
Right.
X,
Uh-huh.
the second. So FFX first, Final Fantasy 8, right, 10. So, yeah, that go. I would be more than happy. Like if this show ends,
Okay.
if the only thing we're associated with through the end of time, through internet searches, is that fucking duck face glitch. That's a victory as far as I'm concerned.
That's a victory.
I'll take it. I will fucking take it.
Oh, I know why you put Jim Carrey on 78.
Why?
Because you challenged me to just start throwing out Jim Carrey quotes.
Why would I do that?
I don't know, but that's what you did. So I just ran with it. That's why you did that.
That's damn Chocobo right there. Why would you do that? Oh, damn Chocobo.
Oh. Decades Gold Games, that meme. Cast them into the fire. Play something new. No.
No. Absolutely not.
Oh, shit.
I would like to get, and I assume it's going to happen before we're done, but whatever the fuck 16 turns into,
right.
Hopefully they put that on PC sooner than later, because that's the only way Jake's going to play it.
Right. Yep.
So we will see.
We shall see. Yes.
We shall see.
Let's mosey. God, that's awful.
I think it's crazy that we did like a random Resident Evil 5 episode too. Like we did two. Like,
yeah. Well, that was really like what got the show started and all. So
yeah, I know, and it makes sense. Like it almost was required. Like I think that's the only like non-RPG or RPG adjacent game that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. I would still. I guess we only did one. We only did one. Okay, I thought we did two. But just one Final Fantasy 5 or Resident Evil 5.
I thought there was only one because we typically don't repeat off-shot games. So
or do like split them up over. Yeah, because it wasn't long enough to.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think to justify doing multiples.
Right.
We had actually talked about doing a 6-1, a Resident Evil 6-1,
mm-hmm.
but that game it's
just not that great.
It's not good. It's not good.
No.
It pains me to say it.
Yeah.
I think
it just doesn't work.
Looking through our old episode archive,
mm-hmm.
It's been the last time we did a music episode. The only music episode we've ever done was episode 61. That is too long a gap, considering that shortly after we did that, we were already talking about what would we do for another one.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I think a music episode needs to happen. Another one.
Of?
Well, that's to be determined.
Ooh, another episode of something, huh?
Yeah. Well, of music. The music episode.
Oh, yes. Definitely a music episode. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And we've talked about it.
Quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah. It's just a lot of work for Rich, and he never has any time, so.
Especially now, yeah. It's supposed to get better after,
Yeah. You keep saying that.
Yeah, it's supposed to. We'll see.
Hey, Rich.
Yes, sir.
Use the dumb, Rich.
God damn.
The dumb will be with you, always.
Always. Always. Jacob.
Richard.
It's getting late, and I know we both got work days tomorrow, so I just wanted to say Thanks again for sticking with me for fucking 10 years.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck
Do
yeah.
it. Let's do for another 10.
All right.
All right.
I don't know. My wife isn't gonna like the sound of that, but
Well, who
wouldn't
gives
be
a
the first
damn?
time.
Who gives a damn about her opinion?
It wouldn't be the first or the last time I make her very irritated. So
She's
I'm looking
always
forward to it.
irritated.
That's a fact.
That's part of her. That's her MO now. She just is always irritated.
About something.
Yeah. What the subject is, that's up in the air. But she's always irritated. Yes.
Any last thoughts, Jake?
Let's see. Last thoughts. The dumb is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it.
God damn it.
But the following one's the best. I love this one. My ally is the dumb, and what a powerful ally it is.
When did we do that? Like, when was it? Was that a is that a screenshot of like a phone chat that we had?
Yeah. Because while I was working at one point, we there was these two other guys.
When's the date?
When's the date? It would have been October 7th is when it was posted.
Year.
2015.
2015.
And they would just constantly annoy the shit out of me and talk about really dumb shit, okay? And it got to the point where I was like, the dumb is strong in here. And one day, they just went off a cliff, and they played on it, and then I played on it to you as well. Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the dumb.
Oh yeah, because we would go back and forth.
Yes.
I told you to. You said it started with you saying new quote of the day: "The stupid is strong in this room," and I responded with "Use the dumb, Jake." So
really,
yeah,
really?
that's a good note to
Was it
end on.
stupid? I didn't think it was stupid. I thought it was dumb.
Yeah,
The dumb.
well, yeah.
The dumb
either
is
way,
strong.
Jake.
Yes.
If people want to reach out and talk to us, how can they do that?
They can reach out at damnchocobo.com.
Yeah, or at Damn Chocobo on all the big social media platforms.
Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. So, Jake, to close
Rich,
this out,
yes.
we can't end an episode without a dedication. What are you dedicating this episode to?
Come on. Let's, the most obvious one that we've been joking about the entire show for the most part here, is the derp derp, what we're going to be famous for on Google regarding Seymour.
Yeah, that's right. This episode is dedicated to Duckface Seymour Lich from the Final Fantasy X remaster. I think they patched that out too, which is absolutely fucking tragic.
Yes, it is.
On that note, Jake,
Rich,
you, the listeners.
I'm the listener?
Yeah, well, you and the listeners.
Okay.
Have a good day, evening, morning.
Yes.
And fuck off.
Fuck the fuck off.